just like
All
why?
right, I believe we're live. So, welcome everybody to Bad Science Sunday. And so, a lot of people are, I guess, a little confused about what we do here. We take a comedic approach to pseudoscience, which can be educational sometimes, and sometimes it's just look at the idiot go. And there's not a lot of great scientific commentary to give. However, this is the infamous Magnet Show, which I sent initially as a troll to our own very Dr. Tapioca Weasel.
I'm a
And he
serious
was like,
person,
no, fuck it. Let's do it live.
and I think everybody can tell by looking at me how seriously I take this. So
Yeah, so I can't really do play the insane clown posse, but Doc's bringing the aesthetics today.
I
Hey,
have my
fucking
cape.
magnets, how do they work?
Uh, Mostly black magic.
There's only one person on Earth who knows the answer to that question, Maya. Do you know who that is?
Who is it?
Well, we're about to find out today.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
we are.
Our video. Before we do that, though, Grayson, elevator pitch, because we have different people at the beginning of the stream than the end. So let the people who are fighting sleep to catch the very beginning know where to find you.
Yeah, well, I'm Grayson. I run the YouTube channel Based Theory, like a well-based theory, or the opposite of a cringe theory, like Ken Wheeler's ideas about magnets. I basically argue and debunk pseudoscience on the internet. I'm a big enthusiast for science and history, so I love making videos about those topics and debating and debunking and making fun of pseudoscientists like we're going to do tonight.
All right. So I guess let's see. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Doc. Let them know what we've got in store.
We've got our good friend Ken Wheeler, who, by the way, not gonna lie, kind of a cool channel name, Theoria Apophasis. Is that
Sure.
yeah. I don't know.
I'm sure that means something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like I might have just like summoned Leophilius to like come in here and like yell at me for pronouncing things wrong. But is this our third or fourth time covering Ken Wheeler?
Ooh,
It's not our.
It's certainly not the first. I would say at least.
No, it's not even the second. We've definitely done it twice. But he's got a cool. I guess we should like. Well, we won't. But you can go back and check our previous streams to see what his growth is. But he's got a cool 307,000 subscribers here.
God.
And
yeah.
And this video came out 2 weeks ago and has 16,000 views, which is not a great conversion. But particularly, it's not even that long. It's
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised because magnets seem to be a popular, not even just with us, everywhere. Magnets seem to be a popular.
Yeah,
topic.
I don't know why. I've never heard of them until like last week or something. Totally new topic to me.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, isn't magnets kind of Ken Wheeler's main thing? So it's kind of weird that how underviewed this video that's apparently summarizing his entire ideas about magnets into a nice, neat, short little package, and like his subscribers just don't see it. Like, who is subscribing to him that for other reasons other than his crazy wackadoodle takes on magnets? Like, what other reasons are there to subscribe to this guy?
Yeah,
that's a great question.
Well, he apparently has a whole like following in like the photography hobbyist thing, which is like weird and like completely separate. And apparently there's whole it doesn't matter. We don't have time. Well, it's a great question. I will say he's done this sort of thing like 80 trillion times. Yeah, like this goes in a playlist and it's like number like 700 or something. I that might be an exaggeration, but only by like a factor of 10, which
Well, he's putting in that work. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So also the emojis, it's hard for people to search it. It's not algorithm friendly.
So over 700 videos on this topic. How many published papers?
-8.
Oh, Okay, so that's even worse than his views to subscribers ratio. Okay.
Yeah.
I
All
wonder
right.
why he has not been able to publish any of his ideas in a format that is peer reviewed.
Oh, that's because
No, they don't believe in
we
peer-reviewed
I'd
science.
say it's probably because Ken Wheeler is peerless. Nobody
yes.
is peer.
Oh, honestly, the only person who is fit to describe the beautiful, majestic mind that is Ken Wheeler is Ken Wheeler.
I've heard that even the Electric Universe people have debunked Ken Wheeler.
Yes,
Really? Are you serious?
I mean, some of them. The thing is, Electric Universe is a very mishmashy sort of hodgepodge of ideas that's not particularly well defined. They probably like half of the counter space stuff he says. I don't know if he's going to talk much about counter
Oh,
space.
he does. He does.
Does he? Okay.
For just to give the audience some background here,
Yeah.
before Maya sent me this video, I had never watched any of Ken Wheeler's content, and I went down the rabbit hole today. And so I watched this video. I think I'm the only one that's watched.
That watched the whole thing. This is not uncommon.
Yeah,
I watched his previous videos. So
yeah, no, I tried, and I sent it to Tap as like a joke, just like ha ha, and he was like, "No, but fuck it, we're doing this one," and I'm like, "You're kidding, right?"
I'm very serious. I think I look serious.
You look very serious.
Thank you.
why so serious?
Oh yeah, why do you look so serious today?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you see,
Do you like to tell that story?
yeah. So earlier this afternoon, I received word from people that a good friend, blessed be he, was discussing me in a side chat and saying that she was going to be debunking yours truly, the good doctor. That'll piss her off. And that honestly, that I'm not very smart and I'm not very funny and I don't know how anything works and I'm a bad scientist and a fake scientist and I'm probably a huge liar. And that honestly, if Maya really just needs to ditch that like weird science dude whose name she can't seem to remember. I don't know why. Not a hard to remember name. Very unique.
I heard you're not even a real weasel.
Right? I don't even know what to say to that.
You can neither confirm nor deny these allegations.
I can't even comprehend the words, and no, my lawyer has advised me against that.
I agree with the statement.
That's fair. Yeah, got better hair than he does, though. Sorry. Okay, that might be me.
And Ember is a member for 3 months. Thank you. I love Ember. Oh, and also Robin has rejoined the Weasel Cult. Love a good Robin. Thank you.
Fantastic. But yeah, blessed be he said that it would be better if I showed up as a clown, and it would be just better to just acknowledge that. So here I am trying. I'm just trying to please the audience. Yes.
Are we pleased? Is the audience pleased?
Dead air.
I know. It's like it's the quietest they've been since the show started.
I may or may not have multiple personalities and or other weasels inside of this trench coat, which is totally not a fake lab coat.
Well, I think that the audience has spoken. They are not pleased. They need more weasels and less serious overtones in your overall presentation, Dr. Tapioca Weasel.
Okay, well, next time I don't have to wear a shirt underneath. I can just be like bare chested. But
you gotta.
I'll have to run that by Maya because I'm seeing the look on her face and she's not into it.
Maybe
yeah, what's Wheeler doing? Oh, wait a minute. Vonrick has not only become a member for another month, but has also gifted us 10 more cult members. Yay!
Oh,
10
no,
tapioca
bro.
weasels. Welcome to the cult. I don't even know how to pronounce this. New Y. Al Trekker, Christopher Tablante, James Nordhoff, Beamsy, Kip, Dr. Kip, Brojo, Jonesy, and Kata. Oh, Kata. Where's Kata? I love Kata. Well, I love all these people. So, uh, welcome new tapioca weasels. Please enjoy your middies and vaginas.
Fantastic.
All right,
Starting to
play.
talk. Yeah, there we go. How you doing? You know what will really wear you out? Like if I was on the phone with like some really ignorant people today.
Ignorant people are
they
people who
like,
actually know science. Just, yeah.
Honestly, with him, you don't know. A lot of people try to convince him to be a flat earther. The one thing he has going for him is he's not a flat earther.
I'll give you that.
Well
Yeah.
done, Ken. Well done.
Yeah.
energy vampire. They are like a black hole of misery, talking to like people.
Can
There's
I
a sign I
just
keep
really
wanting.
quick? This is very, very pedantic here, but like it kind of irks me when people use an expression like this, like you're a black hole of misery. Like, wouldn't that mean that you have an endless like ability to absorb misery from others? Like if you're a black hole, like a black hole of mass, just keeps swallowing more mass. Like a black hole of misery kind of sounds like a good thing. Like a black hole of happiness would absorb everybody else's happiness. I don't know. This is a very petty point, but I don't like the expression.
Yeah, my concern with black holes tends to be the massive amounts of like X-ray radiation that you get because of accretion disks. But your point is way better than my point, so that's fair.
Well, if you're absorbing pure misery, I don't know what you're outputting. I don't know if it's X-rays, Hawking radiation, or something else entirely.
I know. We're absorbing pure misery, and we're outputting commentary about Ken Wheeler.
Oh, we're the black hole of misery. Okay.
Yeah, and he's the red giant that's feeding our already past white dwarf.
Oh, he just has like uh shells of misery that are just expanding outside of his head.
Oh, we don't body shame here, but yeah.
I was careful. I did not use any adjective in that description, okay?
To make and like hanging behind my head to send it as a subliminal message to the whole world, and it is this: just do your job. Nobody wants to do their job anymore. Yeah, encountering some of the same things I am. I know you are because you tell me that you are.
What is Ken's job?
Ken is a translator of ancient languages.
Oh, so wait a minute. So you're telling me that in making a video about magnetism, Ken is in fact not doing his job?
I've yet to see any evidence that Ken ever does his job. But
Okay.
to be fair, you guys never see any evidence of me doing my job, and I may or may not be currently dressed as a fake Weasel doctor scientist clown. So, but I'm probably not. I take this very seriously.
Do your job, Tab.
I worked actually diligently on this video, and I think I've simplified it after all these years. Making things simple and people still saying it's complicated
It's not complicated. It's nothing. It's nonsense.
I'm just going to say he absolutely does not simplify anything in this video.
But we were looking at the comments. A lot of people felt that they were helped.
Yes, they do.
Oh, God.
I can't. Later.
Deeper,
I feel like these comment sections are a black hole of ignorance.
Yeah.
That's a great way to characterize the comments.
Or an active galactic nucleus of stupid. Like, it's...
deepest secrets and mysteries of magnetism. I can't cover incommensurability in this video.
Where did that come from? Incommensurability is a term that means like when things don't line up. Like 4
Right.
and 5 are incommensurable because you can't divide one into the other. But
Okay.
2 and 8 are commensurable.
Mhm.
Like,
Because there's only so many different ways you can simplify that. But I can actually make magnetism very simple and easy to understand. I'm going to accomplish that in this video.
he's
Nope.
not.
He's not.
Yeah.
No, wait. Okay, come on. We're not being, charitable enough. I'm sure I have hope, Tabby. I have optimism that Ken can finally do it with this one, okay? I believe.
Okay, well, if you believe that, then I'm going to need to get your address because I think we need to call in a welfare check on you.
This question comes up every time we showcase Wheeler.
Honestly, I think I have no problem with it. Like, it's just a thing that he has. It's like a little taste thing.
It's weird.
Well, you know what? I'm into that. There's I'm a weird guy. I have my drawers just like open in my dresser in the back. I just, I'm a weird guy.
Yeah, the chat has commented on how weird that is.
Yeah,
I mean, there
I'm
are
really
so
weird.
many weird things in the background to comment on. I mean, he's got the melted Dali clock. He's
That's
got
kind of cool.
Yeah, the head shiner over here. The chat has decided that it's not a shoe shiner; it's a head shiner.
That's hilarious.
he's got like a little beaker there, like
It's like upside down, like this one right here.
It looks like he's got a beaker inside of a pestle. Like it doesn't
Oh my
make
god!
Oh my god, that totally is. That's 100% a pestle.
Yeah,
Okay?
it's like those two pieces do not go together, Ken.
And you know that little white tower? I'm pretty sure that's selenite.
Yeah, that's selenite for sure. I don't.
Yeah.
He's a crystal girl now.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
okay.
Well,
And then
hold on.
Oh yeah, and then you have the rose quartz. Oh, he has a bunch of quartz. Holy shit!
what I find weird
I've
is
never
that
even.
he's got like an
Funny.
empty stool.
And
Why?
an empty stool. Yeah.
Why is that for you to sit on? Do you commonly sit in there right in front of the fan? Like what? I just
Maybe he invites people in and they sit there and talk. I don't know.
That's where he draws portraits, like nudes, taste for nudes, and that's where the model sits.
That makes sense.
And because the fan behind them is to get their hair flowing in an artistic fashion,
maybe
Yeah.
it's for Ken's hair.
Yeah, could
You
be.
know what? Yeah.
Not
that makes more
honestly.
I am
sense.
going to accomplish it. So, by the way, in the description below, if you ever like any of my videos, and I've got like over 8,000, any donation.
Is he pointing at the fireplace when he's talking about the description?
Why not?
That's fair.
He's
It's always
classy,
warmly
okay?
welcome because I'm not selling anything other than like leather goods, but that's a lot of hard work. I've even got a cut on my finger right here from doing some leather work. So, any donation.
And I'm not gonna lie, if he creates leatherwork and he's selling them, that yeah, I'm here for you. Blessed be he. I wanted to let you know that I really took what you said to heart, and
Yeah, we didn't even have to crowdfund for it. He just decided to do it on his own. So
I'll send you an invoice.
that is that is a great suggestion you had there. He loved it, and so now he's in the clown suit.
Yep.
So thanks.
I
And try not to be a rancid bitch. You know how we hate that here.
was gonna say, I could not. They don't. So it's not near Halloween. They don't have the noses. I even went to Walgreens to check because you know how they have that red nose fundraiser thing that they do for like 5
I
months
thought
a year?
the hair came with the nose. How did you get the hair and no nose? Like that's crazy to me.
It's just a wig thing. I got the hair, I got the bow tie, which unfortunately I didn't realize that the top of the cape was going to be dark color. Otherwise, I would have got the yellow one.
No, it's like a pride cape.
But yeah, and then I got
I
the
love
pride
it.
cape because it's glorious.
It is.
And
mean, you're
I'm a
killing
serious person. Okay,
Yeah. Like the pride cape proves that. Duh.
thank
Look,
you.
Tappy, I think that you're killing it. And if you did have any leather products available for sale, I would buy them.
Fair enough.
And today
If
we're
you don't-
talking magnets.
Yeah, we were.
So buckle
This is
up
always so warmly
and don't be a
welcomed.
bitch.
I keep getting shocked,
Can't
not literally
express that
shocked, but
highly
people
enough.
keep saying, "Oh, you're not the person that figured out magnetism. Tesla figured that out."
There's our Tesla entry on the bingo card. You know, I have a bingo website. I have a whole website that just does bingo, and I don't. Sorry.
It never
First,
ceases
really?
to amaze me, like how every single crank on the internet, every peddler of pseudoscience, no matter which type of pseudoscience they're peddling, if it's electric universe or flat Earth or Atlantis or like literally anything crazy, all of them are like, yeah, Tesla was a genius. He knew what was talking about. I believe everything that Tesla says. I'm like, how did Tesla get such a sterling, pure reputation in the crank corners of the internet? It's like literally every single crank thinks Tesla is like the genius of all geniuses.
I I I completely agree. It's a really kind of weird phenomenon. He's gone from being he legitimately was underrated as like an inventor and like a person in history, not as a physicist though. Tesla was not a physicist, to be clear. Not a knock against him. Okay, like Edison wasn't a physicist, but it's really weird. I will say, in Ken's defense, he's actually about to be like, actually, no, Tesla did not know this. Tesla wasn't as smart as the true genius in this story, which is, of course, Ken Wheeler.
Who else?
I have every book ever written on magnetism, including everything Tesla
No, you don't. There is no way. There is no way you have every book ever written on the subject of magnetism.
said on the topic, and he's never explained it, and neither has anybody else.
See?
QED,
See, he's like, Tesla never explained it. And
But he
has
also
anyone else.
says that quantum electrodynamics also does not explain it, or nobody has ever explained magnetism except Ken Wheeler.
Yeah.
No,
Richard
okay.
Feynman,
fair.
Yeah, exactly. Have you considered like just agreeing with and just have you considered just acknowledging that Tesla is our Lord and Savior?
I will acknowledge Ken as our Lord and Savior.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for you.
none of these people have explained what magnetism is. I'm not actually boasting before getting onto this video when I say this that, if I were to drop tomorrow, I at least feel proud of the fact that I've accomplished more than just that in life, but I am proud to be the first human being, not that any other animal figured it out, first human being to actually figure out what magnetism is, why it is, how it is, why it works, and
Oh, wow.
Right? He is the
Okay.
first human being to figure out what it is, how it is, why it is, where it is, and what its favorite color is. Like everything.
So I'm gonna do a little bit of psychoanalysis on this real fast. That like literally it seems clear to me that he considers this to be his primary accomplishment of his life. Like he's like, oh, it's not the only thing I've accomplished, but this is what I'm proud of. This will be my legacy. I'm gonna be in history textbooks in the future when I'm finally vindicated, like Tesla. And they finally realized what a true genius Ken Wheeler was out like post-mortem. And like it seems like he's like this is the main thing that he feels that he has accomplished. This is like intimately tied in with his sense of identity, his self-esteem, his worth. And I think maybe that's the reason why he will never listen to reason or look at evidence against his position here, because he has to be right. Because if he's not, then he hasn't accomplished anything with his life.
But have you considered that maybe he's just right and that you're an idiot?
Well, the history textbooks of the future will no doubt be saying, oh, we have the greats of science: Isaac Newton, Albert Einstein, Ken Wheeler.
Yep. Nikola Tesla.
And all of the physicists, every single one was too stupid in his own lifetime to understand the true genius of this humble leather worker.
Yup.
It's gonna be riveting. Like honestly, like history and science enthusiasts in the future are gonna be reading this like, wow, like how did nobody, not any of the smartest, most educated people on the planet ever think, oh wow, this guy, this photographer slash Russian translator and leatherworker, this guy was the one that figured it all out. He's not only the first human being, but because none of the animals have ever figured it out either, he's the first sentient being in the planet to finally figure out magnetism. I cannot wait to hear the secret.
Let's let him cook.
I've spent more time, deeper time, and sharp time. By sharp, I mean, pinpointed focus of mind. The ancient Pali word for that's kind of highly accurate. It's called ikagachitasa, which basically means needle pinpoint attention to trying to figure this out, and I have. I'd like to make a few analogies, too, and I got a couple magnets over here, including this.
Okay, hold on. This might be one of those sentences that he starts and then it just ends in an entirely different galaxy. And I love trying to identify it when it starts. So he said he's going to make an analogy, and then he did like a semicolon, and then he talked about his magnets. I could be wrong.
This is the one and only time that I know of where pyramid power is actually real. I'm going to use this as an analogy. And I got a couple ring.
He did bring it back together. It was a coherent thought. However, now we're talking about pyramid power. Okay, so
okay, but this is the one and only time that pyramid power is actually real. All the other pyramid people, they don't know what they're talking about. But in this one application, pyramid power is absolutely real, and the Egyptians built giant magnetic beams.
Yep.
Magnets, but they're attached to some metal devices over there, so I got a couple images here. I can't get them peeled off the metal devices that they're on over there. I'm using them to hold some sewing equipment where pyramid power is actually real, and actually use this as an analogy. Qualitative versus quantitative. Most people, I think, kind of understand that. Say you actually have somebody.
Yeah, I know this may seem like a completely non sequitur jump, and I have to say I agree with you.
Like, I was all excited to hear about pyramid power, and now I'm learning about the difference between qualitative and quantitative.
This part, what he's about to go on, really makes the nitpicky person in me really upset, because I'm like, I don't think you understand what quantitative or qualitative or any of the words that you're saying mean.
He literally started this video by being like, I worked really hard on this video to try to summarize my thoughts in the most concise and clear way as possible. Let's begin. First of all, I'm going to make an analogy. But before I do that, look at this pyramid. Pyramids are real. Now, do you know the difference between qualitative and quantitative? It's like, what? You planned this? This was actually you with prep time to go through your argument in the clearest way possible, and this is your approach?
Yeah, apparently. That's all I.
And I'm using this analogy to explain magnetism. I'm going to use a few, and then I'm going to make magnetism understandable for absolutely anybody. I don't care if you didn't graduate elementary school. It will be abundantly clear and obvious what I'm talking about, and you'll actually have a clear picture of what the magnetic field is. Qualitative issues. Say you have a person that you've known your entire life. They have friends and brothers and sisters or whatnot, and they get into a really bad car wreck.
Terrible. So they get all beat up, and there's contusions and stuff, and bones that used to be a single piece, quantified by being in one piece, are now quantified by being in multiple pieces, like two pieces. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, everything is fine except, for example, they, might have incurred some sort of really serious head trauma in the car wreck. Now, they are quantitatively identical.
What? No, they're not. I thought you said they were in a car wreck and got injured.
they have head trauma. That can be quantified.
Yeah, like you have bruising, you have a change in discoloration. You can articulate that in all sorts of ways. I don't. How is that quantitatively the same?
It's not.
Are you saying that you like if you count up the number of atoms? Because let me tell you, if I put you in a box and seal it and leave you there for 8 years, there's no atoms going in or out except for a little bit of hydrogen. Hydrogen just can bore through anything. It's crazy. But you're going to be very dead, like extremely dead.
You are way overthinking this, Tappy. It's literally just that he's wrong. Like, he's describing head trauma, which is damage to neurons, which can be quantified.
Well, yeah,
like,
but it's wrong in like so many ways.
Yeah.
That
after the car wreck as they were before. Yeah. The only thing that's actually changed is the quality. So their DNA is the same, they weigh the same, they look the same.
They don't look the same if people who have suffered major head trauma.
I don't know where Tappy just went, but literally their neurons are not the same. Maya, you are muted.
Okay, sorry. Creationist has a question.
What is going on with the set? we dissected each part of the set here, although we never did arrive at the reason why he's having a fireplace on his screen, other than just to class it up.
Yeah, Tapioca Weasel decided that he likes the fireplace, so we're not allowed to dissect it for whatever reason.
No,
but you can see the melted clock over here. The chat has decided that is not a shoe shiner, but a head shiner. We have the stool, which is awesome, and there's never anything on the stool.
No.
We have a bunch of crystals, and
this one looks like a steak.
It does. We have a bunch of rocks and candles and an upside down beaker. Is that what that is?
It looks like a volumetric flask.
Okay. Yeah, it's we don't know what's up with it, but he likes it. And it's still a lot cleaner than Roger's.
Yeah, that's true. It's a lot cleaner. But it has the same type, like, give him 20 years to, like, really go into senility.
I'm pretty sure he's already there.
Well, that's true.
And then one more question from Blessed Be He for Grayson. Do you think magnetic forces played a role in abiogenesis? If so, how?
Well, there's actually a current, like, I think last year or maybe even earlier this year, there was a paper that came out about how, like, Earth's geomagnetic field could have affected like the chirality of early organic molecules. It's like chiral induced spin selectivity that can be induced by a magnetic field. So it is possible that magnetic fields did potentially play a role in like abiogenesis and the origin of what's called homochiral chemical systems. So it's possible. It's definitely a hypothesis that's out there that is gaining a little bit of traction, like, recently. So only time will tell.
And I'm not laughing because it's a stupid question. I'm laughing because this is like the third time I've seen her bring up abiogenesis today. We've been trying to lure her into a Saturday stream or any other day of the week. Actually, we would make time for her. But, you know, she has those 10 kids and they just take up so much time away from her doing anything online. It's just
makes sense.
Weird. Yeah. Also, for $10, Reggio, shoot Angel, still think the random objects around is an inspiration in forming the word salad. That is bound to come out.
It's actually amazing that we're this far into the video and we haven't gotten to any word salad yet.
Honestly, yeah.
But everything about their DNA is the same. Everything about them is quantitatively 100% identical.
It's not.
The only thing that's actually changed is the quality of who they are. They can't remember their own name, for example. And of course, there are many examples of this. You know, they can't recognize their own mother and father, or brother or sister, and they might have spent countless years in getting a postgraduate degree, but they can't remember any of it. They know simple things and they understand simple language, but they're qualitatively 100% different than they were before the wreck.
Why is he talking about this? Why are we
right?
doing this?
Like they're 100% different. Like everything is they are an antimatter version of themselves. We're all screwed. There goes North America.
When we actually define what a magnet is, it is
Please be my guest.
We're finally getting to the magnets. Okay.
Yeah.
quantitatively identical before it becomes a magnet as it is after, but the quality has changed. It is now a point source object. People actually confuse...
What? It's quantitatively the same? No, it's not. The magnetic moments of the atoms are not aligned versus aligned. Like,
Yeah, but that's just words, okay? Math is fake and truth is a lie.
those are not just words. Like, we use like the alignment of magnetic moments in an MRI. Like, we know how this works.
No,
Okay, well, if you're so smart, then how do magnets work? Yeah.
You're a NASA shill, and you're supposed to say that.
That's true. Yeah.
NASA doesn't have anything to do with MRIs. I mean, this guy, he's probably had an MRI before, right? I mean, like,
Grayson,
you would hope.
Grayson, that's what they want you to say.
Okay. I give up. I've been defeated here, I guess, because apparently there's nothing quantitatively different about an object before it's a magnet and then after, I guess.
Which is just baffling. Like it's one of the it's a very straightforward thing to quantify. You measure the magnetization. You can use a magnetometer. You can use a compass and measure the deflection of a needle when the sample is put in a certain location and the compass is put in a certain location.
Magnet with magnetism, that thing that we actually call the magnet. Before this was turned into, man, it is a really powerful magnet too,
I'm
by the
Maya
way.
Atkinson, and I approve this message.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's wanting to jump towards this metal sewing machine back here, and I just moved it about an inch, and it wanted to jump towards that, and I had to grab it over here. I don't know if you could see me grabbing it outside of the frame.
Cool story, bro.
Is this? It was quantitatively identical before it was turned into. It's made.
No, it's not. It has a magnetic field after you magnetized it. Like that.
Now we're back to the pyramids. I don't know how we got back to the pyramids, but we're back to the pyramids.
It's the all-seeing eye.
It out of two pieces, and the reason why, and it's conjoined afterwards, is that you can actually only magnetize something so deeply. To actually magnetize this as a single object is really quite difficult, so you magnetize the two objects separately.
I would not necessarily... That seems plausible, because you're definitely going to have like a penetration depth, and the way that you induce magnetism... there are many ways that you can induce magnetism when you're like making ferromagnets and whatnot. But one of the common ways is that you have this sort of unmagnetized thing, and then you just pulse it with a crazy strong magnetic field by putting an enormous pulse of current through a coil. And if you do that hard enough, you just take all of the magnetic moments in the thing and you force them to be aligned. And then they'll stay that way in suitable materials and ferromagnetic materials. And that is a process that is going to have to penetrate into the material. And if it has any, like, depending on the permeability, that is going to be more or less difficult.
I'm just curious about, like, okay, so this tiny little 3-inch pyramid, right? This little magnetic pyramid that he's got had to be produced in 2 pieces because making one 3-inch pyramid, a magnet, is too hard. But does this guy think that the entire Pyramid of Giza is a magnet? In which case, like, I mean, like, how many pieces would you have to make magnetized to make the entire pyramid a magnet? Or like, he doesn't think that there's anything magical about the Egyptian pyramids. He just thinks that pyramid magnetism is real in this case. Like, I don't know his thoughts.
No, his point about the pyramid here is going to have to do with the fact that it comes to a point is going to have some interesting mathematical properties in terms of, like, you're going to have like a cusp, and you're going to have an area of like really high sort of divergent lines.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it's the curvature of the field in the vicinity of a pyramid is going to be different and unique. Just like if you were to, well, not just like, but vaguely analogous to if you were to charge up that pyramid, if you were to put a whole bunch of static electricity on it, the spark, if it's just in free space and you charge it up until it sparks, is almost certainly going to come from one of those five vertices.
Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, object's like the shape of an object's magnetic field is dependent on the shape of the object. Like, this is not trailblazing work.
It's dependent on the shape of. It's dependent on the contributions from all of the different current sources according to the BYOB law, which is ultimately due to like the Maxwell equations. But I guess that's word salad.
So what you're saying, Tap, is that pyramid power is real.
We put it on our money. So, in God we trust.
Separately, you put them together, and then they act in unison, of course.
Of course.
So, quantitatively, it was the same before it became a magnet, but now it is a magnet, and I'm trying to get it too close to my iPad or my computer. It's absolutely identical. So that which actually defines a magnet is qualitative, not quantitative.
They're vector fields. How are vector fields not quantitative? I don't understand this. He doesn't think they're vector fields, though. He probably thinks that they're emergent phenomena in counter space.
Yeah, it's some sort of counter space plane of inertia dielectrically generated by the inverse momentum of the... Yeah, whatever. He's going to say something like that, I assume.
Yeah.
Same distinction between a 60-watt light bulb and a 60-watt laser. They're both 60 watts. They're drawing the same amount of power, but one is really dangerous and will burn a hole in the back of your...
Yeah, they're both really dangerous. Do you know how many people have died from 60-watt lasers? I can't think of any. Do you know how many people have died from 60-watt light bulbs? I don't know how many fires they've started, but it's a lot.
Millions have died from pyramid power in the wrong hands.
You can't just use one number to quantify something. Lasers are not... light bulbs are not monochromatic. Lasers are.
This is an interesting comment. Moving on.
Oh, yeah.
Your retina, for example, and the other one is pretty useless to even read by. 5-watt laser versus a 5-watt light bulb. Doesn't have to be 60. 60 watts is actually incredibly powerful, incredibly dangerous.
That is pretty powerful. A 60-watt laser will cause a fire if you point it at something flammable, for the same reason that the light bulb will. The most powerful laser that we have in the lab are a couple of 100-watt lasers, and they're kind of terrifying because they emit 1064 nanometer radiation, which is invisible, which is, not great. But anything above 10 milliwatts will have the ability to, in short order, do permanent damage to your eye. 100 watts, which is 10,000 times more than 10 milliwatts, that will make your eye start to boil and pop. So, not great.
Yummy.
But they're not the most dangerous things in the lab. The most dangerous thing in our lab is the ladder. The second most dangerous is any of the electrical stuff.
I would say the most dangerous thing in your lab is a certain weasel in a lab coat that we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have been here a couple of weeks ago when we learned how weasels destroy CERN.
Oh yeah, I know about that. Pretty great. The weasel was proposed as a way of saving CERN and cleaning out the systems.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he did prevent that. What do you call it? That portal to hell that the scientists were obviously trying to create.
His sacrifice will be remembered.
That's for damn sure.
Did electrocute itself in the process.
R.I.P.
Another analogy, and this helps people understand.
Another analogy.
You're taking a shower. You have the shower head, of course, and then you have the sink or the drain. Of course,
a sink
in a wash basin.
You have your sink in your shower.
In the sink.
Yeah. I don't know what the problem is here. That's how my bathroom is organized.
Okay.
And we actually have the sink with a hole in the bottom, but there's a sink, of course, at your feet, and that, of course, is the drain in the shower. Now, a magnet doesn't work exactly this way, but it makes the analogy really simple for people to wrap their brain around.
Okay. Can somebody explain to me, can somebody steel man this position and tell me how this makes the concept of magnetism easier to wrap your brain around? I genuinely have no idea.
Okay, here's my take on it, right? Is that, you know, when you draw a magnet and you have like the magnetic field lines coming out of the North Pole and then going into the South Pole? I think he's saying that the North Pole is like the shower head where the water's coming out, and then the drain or the sink is where the water is flowing into. So he's like thinking that there's something, some ether that's physically coming out of the North Pole of the magnet and then going into the South Pole or something, or maybe that's the same. I don't know. That's what I'm getting from this. I think that's what he's going for in this analogy.
Okay.
Sure.
You know, when you increase the pressure
what's the thing that's analogous to pressure again?
The magnetic flux, I think.
Okay. Fair.
The shower head, which of course interests people. They need to know the temperature and how much pressure to apply. And of course, your bathtub, your shower stall doesn't work this way. When you increase the pressure...
What's the point of the analogy? Okay. So you're using a thing that doesn't work this way to explain another thing that, for the record, definitely doesn't work this way.
Pressure at the shower stall, you're vastly increasing, and I'm going to explain this very shortly here with another analogy. The vacuum pressure, which is a negative pressure at the drain. Once again, of course, your shower doesn't work that way.
Okay, hold on, wait. Okay, I thought that I understood his analogy, but then he starts like, I mean, it's true that vacuum pressure is like a negative pressure, but like I don't understand how that has anything to do with the analogy or magnetism. So I'm now totally lost.
Well, you're up to speed with the rest of us then.
Okay.
I mean, negative pressure is a pretty exotic thing. It can happen, but yeah. Sorry. I was getting dragged into like an actual thing. Something dark energy.
Yeah, to my understanding, like whenever you calculate the pressure of vacuum energy, you do get it that it's negative, and that's one of the primary reasons why so many cosmologists were saying that vacuum energy could be what is called dark energy. That's the primary reason.
I think if you sum it up, it's supposed to be positive.
Well, like the primary reason why so many cosmologists were leaning towards like vacuum energy as being the culprit of dark energy was because you can get the same state equation of state being like negative and having a negative pressure using vacuum energy. But like again, the magnitudes don't at all align.
No, yeah, none of the predictions that you make off of a reasonably straightforward application of what you would, what's sort of the obvious thing, get you anywhere close. You need to
something like 60 to 120 orders of magnitude difference. It's like huge. It's called the vacuum catastrophe or the cosmological concept problem. But like I think generally I think there is a negative pressure. You're not wrong with that. I just have absolutely no idea how it fits into this analogy or magnetism at all.
Oh, I do. It doesn't. That's how.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually does. I can actually show that to you. I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully you can. This is just simplex magnetic viewing film. I don't need the supercell to show this.
This is cool.
As you can see here at the base of the pyramid.
What is the supercell? Does he need like a thunderstorm?
I think it's actually like a ferrocell, which is like two little translucent like sheets in between like a fluid that has a bunch of iron filings in it or something. and then it allows you to like visualize the magnetic field lines.
Yeah, this is what he's got here is a cool thing.
Yeah, I want one.
Yeah. I don't know that it would be particularly good at a precise quantitative measurement, but patterns of colors are quantitative measurements that your eye is doing. Like, I'm sorry, it's all quantitative. I'm a very reductionist person. Comes with the business, you know. I do think it's cool though. So right now he's got one corner of the pyramid here and another corner of it here, and it's interesting to look at this arc. This is what I'm saying. Like the geometry that you get from a pyramid, is like the geometry that you get from anything if you look at it long enough. It's really interesting, and that's how I became a physicist. I got
power.
It's actually curved towards the tip.
Yeah, see?
This is no different than a fireman's nozzle, which is actually shaped slightly pyramidally. And the reason for that, it vastly increases the pressure. You can actually...
Okay, I think I finally got a little bit of what he might be trying to say.
So wait. Is he saying that in the same way that a pyramidal little piece at the end of a fireman's hose shoots out a highly pressurized beam of water, he's saying that a pyramid shoots out a beam of magnetism, just like a beam straight up?
Sort of, yes, but also all of the sort of incredulity there aside, that's not the worst way of visualizing it. The magnetic field lines will follow magnetic materials preferentially. That's why mu metal is great for shielding things, because the magnetic field lines hit the metal and then they just go and follow along in the metal. This is why that you use like an iron core in transformers to help guide the magnetic field, right? And it will sort of like the spark will shoot out. You will have a much higher flux right at the tip of that, and the magnetic field lines are not flowing. Okay, there's not a flow of Well, I mean, actually, if you boil it down, there is sort of a flow of energy. If you have a solenoid that just has a magnetic field thing going in a circle, and you put that, and it's uncharged, there's no magnetic field, just going purely in a circle, and then you add current to it, and you put that whole thing like on a dish that's free to rotate, it will start to rotate because the magnetic field itself carries not only energy, but also angular momentum. It's actually really cool. So
you're saying that Ken Wheeler is right.
I'm saying that Ken Wheeler could be more wrong. He could be significantly more wrong. And this analogy actually, you see, I try to be honest, is not it's one of the more coherent things I've heard him say. Wow. Which is saying very little.
In other words, the chat also, in other words, in other news, the chat is loving the fit.
I mean, I'm
quite a few compliments tonight, I must say.
It goes to show how terrible my normal fashion sense must be. That
I think it's a look. I think you're a trendsetter right now.
Well, thank you. Yeah. You know what? Hold on. Okay. You know what, Titan? That's fair. I got nothing.
Actually see that warped curved line here at the base of the pyramid, how it's warped towards the tip. And I'll explain that in a second. And of course up here, we actually have incredibly strong magnetic flux. But in doing so, since we've increased the pressure at the shower head, we've vastly increased the negative pressure, the vacuum pressure, because magnetism is a dielectric field. To say magnetism...
Okay, well, now here we go with the word salad.
Magnetism is a dielectric field? What? I don't... What is it? There's no such thing as a dielectric field. I mean, there's like there's
Di-
dielectrics.
Dielectrism is like a property of a material that tells you how it responds
Yeah.
to magnetic fields.
Well, you generate an electric field in response to an electric or magnetic field in a dielectric material, but that's not a dielectric field. That's just an electromagnetic field.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to bend over backwards and already it could be more wrong, but mostly this is word salad. Ken loves the term dielectric and just uses
almost
it
as much as Roger loves dipoles.
Yeah, which is odd because dipoles. The term dipole would have a lot of totally reasonable, relevant usage in sort of the because the thing about sources of magnetic fields is all of them that we know about of magnetic fields, B, the vector field that we call the B field, are dipole fields. Or I mean, they're okay. That's not true. But
I totally did not mean to
intrinsic ones.
trigger your ADHD there.
I'm sorry.
Magnetism versus dielectricity is like saying ice versus water. Both are water, but one is a different quality of water. Of course, cold water, which is hard and it's...
Okay, do you guys use numbers to describe temperature?
Yeah.
Usually.
Okay, is that a different quality or is that a different quantity of like degrees?
Quantity.
Yeah.
solid and it has different attributes, but it's still water, right? And increasing vastly the pressure up here, and it is really very powerful. You actually take a Gauss meter and you probe it right here at the tip. It has extremely high magnetic flux.
Wait, so he can quantify it? Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay, we're making progress here. Magnetism can be quantified.
We're not making progress.
Only if you probe the tip.
Yeah, you got to probe the tip. And you got to probe the tip right where there's a massive quantity of flux discharge coming out.
Lest you forget which show you're on.
But in doing so, we've also too greatly increased the pressure down here. That bow or curvature towards the tip at the base of the pyramid right down here, you could actually see as it's curved up this way, it's curving towards the tip, is that since we increase the pressure up here, the drain, and once again, your shower doesn't work this way. What if you were able to turn...
Then what the drain part of the analogy I still don't get.
Once again, nothing about the analogy I just used actually applies to what we're talking about.
My guy, what are you doing? What are we doing?
Turn the pressure up so high on your shower head, just like at the tip of this pyramidal magnet, that the drain at your feet in the shower stall were to start making a sucking sound, and it got larger. You can actually see this of really powerful magnets underneath the supercell.
Underneath the supercell. Again, I don't know what he means by supercell.
Well, when you start having a large amount of flux through your tip, the sucking sound gets stronger at the bottom.
That's gagging, not sucking. Sorry.
Look, I'm just trying to figure out what Ken's talking about, man. Don't shoot the messenger.
We're all children over here. Don't mind us.
Yeah. The actual black spot in the center is a lot larger, and of course your shower doesn't work that way.
Hold on, okay, this is Roger-esque. The white part and the black part of the magnetic dipole electron field.
Yeah, you got to keep the white ones away from the black ones. That's not even us necessarily being babies. He literally, those are actual words that came out of his mouth.
Yeah, and trust me, he knows vaginas. Totally unrelated, but yeah.
But analogously, this is the correct understanding of things. You have this conjoined twin pair of conjugate fields, which are one and the same thing, and all fields, of course, are ether perturbations.
Okay, hold on. Conjoined pin twin. Wow. Okay, that was so stupid that like it just the words refused to come
I
out.
think to be charitable, I think he's talking about like electric fields being orthogonal to magnetic fields, but really it's just the electromagnetic field. I think
Yeah,
maybe that's
yes,
what he's talking about.
you're right. It is the electromagnetic field. However, understanding it at that full level, it is not trivial. In 90% of the time in like my actual work, I am totally fine thinking about them as being um, distinct fields. I actually think it's one of the most beautiful demonstrations of the sort of chain of the unification of different phenomenon at different scales, because at in normal terrestrial everyday life, the electric field phenomenon and the magnetic field phenomenon are really not obviously linked unless you're doing an experiment that directly shows that. But understanding how they are linked, particularly in terms of the mutual generation of each other, and especially how it applies to oscillating fields like light, unifies those ideas and explains a whole other set of phenomenon. But then, like thinking about it in terms of a single um, electromagnetic, more complex quantum field is another sort of level still. It's so cool.
And then you can get really wacky with it and go full electro weak fields.
Yeah, and I don't even know what that's all about. Like I've never really studied particle physics. I am
Nor
very
I.
much, yeah.
Well, that's good because I'm pretty sure Ken doesn't even believe that particles exist.
That's
So it's good that you didn't waste your time with it.
For $5, Left-Handed Jedi said, all I did was reverse the polarity of the neutron field. Doctor Who reference?
Well, you got to remember that when you're reversing the polarity of the neutron flow, that you're going to generate a lot of sucking on the back end. So,
Yeah.
And also, not to be outdone, Regios. Can I find Regios in here? Oh, yes, gifted us 10 more cultists. So, welcome to Tapioca Weasels, BTF Wayne, Tsunami, Lunar, that person, another person, Triceratops, Interstellar Trafficking is a felony, Caden, Bench Thinker, Rick, Blastmaster 80, William S., Easter is a Lisa is a blogger. All were gifted memberships, cult ships. What are we? New cultists. That was like a lot of heavy hitters. Thank you,
Fantastic.
Regios. Like, yeah, that no, seriously. Thank you, Regios. That our family is back. I love it.
My ego is very delicate. I really require this support. Thank you.
And a couple of these people are in the chat. Thank Regios properly. Stroke the stroke the shaft.
Do we want to throat the shaft too?
Shaft. Don't ignore the tip. You know how we do it.
I can throat the shaft.
Well, no, you can hit the play button.
Modalities. Magnetism is the dielectric field and loss of energy or inertia. In the case of the shower analogy, nobody cares about the drain unless it's not draining, of course. In the case,
that's just. Where are we? What's happening?
I don't know.
Case of our dielectric
We're
hole,
in the drain. We're in the drain, and that is apropos. For $5 from Jake Nelson. In tonight's episode, Grayson is a lucky peer between Maya and Dr. Tapp, and if you don't get that joke, Urban Dictionary.
Oh God, I'm afraid.
I'm not doing that on the stream.
Well, you know, I can just share that. No, I'm not going to do that either. Maya will kick me.
I don't know. It sounds like a thruple.
Thruple?
Mm-hmm.
Have you been watching?
No. I would never.
Mike?
Well, I just looked it up. Okay. Well,
because he is in bed with the thruple, and if people think that it's okay to be in a thruple, then this is not the world I want to live in. I'm just saying. Sorry.
Grayson was speaking.
The shower analogy.
Yeah, but Grayson is reparations. Look at it.
Look, I just want to know if Maya is the shower head or the drain.
Well, I'm a guidess, so I'm clearly the head.
Okay, well, Tap, you're clearly the drain. Okay.
Indeed.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I'm.
And I guess I'm the sink. I don't know where I fit in the analogy.
Well, sink
but
and
I don't think
drain.
Ken does either.
Both of those are fine. Like the current comes to us, it's fine.
Nobody's concerned about the drain hole. They're only interested in the shower head and how fancy the shower head is and the temperature and all those things.
So according to Urban Dictionary, and I'm just going to say it because it's my channel, a lucky pair in the middle male in a threesome implies the middle guy fucking one person while getting fucked by another.
Okay, yeah, so Maya's got a strap on and I'm getting pegged.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel about this, Grayson.
I am the meat in this sandwich.
That's fair.
Well, that is quite a super chat. Thank you for your support.
We scared off Kaden.
And the Christian's like, thank you, good God bless you, good night, I came. Welcome to Bad Science Sunday. All right, so our purpose tonight, our purpose every Sunday, if I didn't mention this, is just to make you laugh. This is where you come to kind of brush off all the bad shit that's been going on and, all throughout the week, because life, damn. And to prepare you for the next week so that you're walking into all the fuckery just happy. And completely devoid of everything else that has happened. So we're just going to laugh off all the bullshit and keep it moving. Hit that play button.
Okay.
One move, of course, is due to pressure and force. That is out of the shower head. And the other move, of course, is inertia and rest. The drain of the water, of course, in your shower is due to gravity. But the actual flowing towards counter space.
He knows gravity is real and not electromagnetic?
I'm
actually extremely impressed by that, actually. He's already way better than the flat earthers on this.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard him opine that much about gravity that I remember.
I mean, if he acknowledges that gravity is real and not the same force as electromagnetism, he's not completely brain dead. Like he's got some kind of base level of understanding about reality that's not 100% wrong. This is better than the flat earthers.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, what's worse?
The flat earthers.
Than the flat earthers. What's worse than the flat earthers?
The Tartaria people, maybe?
Yeah, the Hollow Earth Tartaria people. Specifically, you have to fuse them.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Space, and there is a hole on either end of a magnet. Of course, a magnet doesn't actually have poles. It has the inverse of counter space. There's a super...
Counter space!
Wait, is it the inverse of counter space? Wouldn't that just be space? Isn't space supposed to be the inverse of in counter space, inverse space his world?
I think counter space is like a parallel space, and then the inverse of counter space would be like K space in counter space. Kind of like how sort of maybe the inverse of space, you can think of it as being frequency space or K space.
He's Fourier transforming his counter space to get a K space of the dielectric of the inertial plane. Got it. Yeah, it all makes 100% sense. Thank you for explaining that. It finally clicks with me, Tappy.
I have a PhD in the subject. I'm just saying.
Okay, PhD has a valid question.
For anybody listening, I just want to make the point that counter space is not a real thing. That's literally just a made-up thing that Ken made up.
I have plenty of counter space in my kitchen.
That's because you never cook, Maya.
But that's not the point. It's there if I wanted to.
Yeah, I don't have any counter space. It's not a
I
big
think
boy.
that according to Ken, he says that the reality, look, space is not 3-dimensional, okay? There's not 3 dimensions of space. There's 2 dimensions. There's space and counter space. That's as far, I don't know what to make of that. I don't know how that makes any sense at all, but that's, I think, what he says counter space is.
I
I don't know.
think he uses it to refer to the alternative dielectric modality that is where the ethereal magnetic field flux ultimately resides in the toroidal basis of the self-contained dielectric phenomena.
Look, Tap, we know you have a PhD, okay? You don't have to brag about how smart you are.
Well, I do when Blessed Be He's in the chat.
I
Because
mean,
otherwise,
yeah,
what is
she questions that he has any
she also
credentials at
questions?
all.
She also thinks that I'm lying about
His entire lineage.
my family. Yeah.
I mean, how could you just have heard that cogent explanation of all of those actual real words that Tapioca Weasel just strung together in a way that makes complete sense and think that he's some sort of fraud? I mean,
Look, none of those words were Bible quotes. So we don't know.
Well, maybe not in the beginning, but now they are.
Tiny hole right here, but it's not enough to compensate for the high magnetic flow.
I mean, he's talking about his tiny hole and how it's not enough to compensate. I feel for the guy. I really do. This is why he's got the gauged earrings. Because he needs a big hole.
Flux. So the lowest pressure mediation for the dissipation of that is this big hole right here at the bottom.
It's not a hole. That's a flat. It's flat metal. There wasn't a hole there. If I poke it with my pokey thing, I'm just gonna have a bad time.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
That's why it's so great, the negative pressure of the magnetic field. You can actually see that curved flux line at the base there, where the actual magnetism here is causing an enlargement and an elongation of the actual dielectric portal, or you can say countersink, or
He's gaped his dielectric portal. I got it.
counter space, or 0 point at the base of that pyramidal magnet. Let's get on to the lines of force. There are no magnetic lines of force. These are, of course, not lines. These lines of force, presumed by everybody, are pertaining to magnetism, is just simplex constructive or destructive interference. It's kind of like...
What does simplex constructive or destructive interference? Is this a term that makes sense?
Certainly not to me. But he's also saying that, like, everyone just presumes like the field lines are real, but like anytime I've ever learned about field lines, it's always been explicit. Like, these are not real.
You're
like,
right. It's like the one thing they keep repeating. They talk about it so much. They're like, these aren't real lines, and I'm like, what is a real line? Like, a line is like a thing. It's like a collection of points in space. Like, are you saying that the points in space aren't real? Sorry.
But yeah, he's like, I don't think that this guy has ever taken an actual course on electromagnetism or anything related to physics, because like every time I've ever learned about them, they stress that these are not real. Like, these field lines are not real. They're just a visual representation of what's going on.
Which, yes. Yeah.
And also for $5, Jake Nelson. Yeah, the grandson of a brilliant physicist, has a PhD in physics. Let me break out my shocked face.
Yeah, it turns out institutional privilege is real.
Interweaving traffic. Of course, we don't have traffic like that in most places, but like on a one-lane road where traffic is going one way and it's coming the other way, say there's an enormous amount of traffic, and it's the traffic of one going the one way and the other one going the opposite way. And one's going towards force and motion, and the other one's going towards inertia and acceleration. You either have mutual destruction or mutual...
What is he talking about? Like, I like blanked out for a moment. And then I came back and we were talking about traffic, and I'm like, go play in traffic.
I think I'm trying to just like throw away everything that I know about science and reality and just try to figure out from Ken's perspective what he's talking about. And I think that he's saying that ether flows in one direction in space, and then simultaneously in counter space is flowing the opposite direction, and that's generating negative pressure. And that's what he's making these analogies of traffic going both ways on a one-way road, and how it has to like back up or something that causes constructive and destructive interference. I'm like, literally, I am like actively trying to suppress brain cells right now, trying to understand this.
Yeah, I don't either, but and I don't even know what to do with this. But for $10, I'm just going to acknowledge that Native Atheist sent a cheerleader jumping in the air and sexy.
Interference. The interference, of course, is between inertia and force, or saying the
Quick
interference
question.
between the.
Well, it doesn't exist, but if it did, maybe.
Yeah, right.
I think that according to all the people that believe in ether, that yes, ether does flow.
Isn't it like also like a type of like potent solvent or something that like you can huff?
Yeah, that's completely different. That is
But it
actually
exists. Yeah.
Also, $10 from Regius. Don't worry about blanking out when Ken is talking and have the same issue since caught a lot of Planner Walk covering him.
Yeah.
Planner Walk. Planner Walk been covering? Oh my gosh.
They've covered him a fair amount.
Nice. I'm gonna have to check those out. So they haven't been popping up in my feed. What the fuck is up with that?
I think they've been.
Did they take a break? The algorithm is not like that.
Yeah, I think maybe for a minute, but I also think that like I'm subscribed to like 1,000 channels, so like it always goes to phases.
I am literally subscribed to 1,000 channels. And there's that. But thank you, Regius, for bringing that to my attention. I will actually go to Planner Walk's channel and throw a bunch of videos into my watch later.
I think Planner Walk might be how I discovered Ken, possibly.
You are how I discovered Ken.
You're welcome.
You're such a great friend.
Fair, you are how Grayson discovered Ken, technically.
Dialectric and magnetism. Magnetism is the field modality of the loss of energy or inertia of the dielectric that we call force.
Magnetism is the field modality of the loss of energy dielectric that we call inertia, I think, is the series of words that came out of his mouth, but
I mean,
it doesn't make any sense.
Each one of those words individually, I know what it means, but when you put them together like that, it literally just means nothing.
It means
there is no meaning to derive from that. I know, like, I'm sure that it makes sense to Ken, but like, yeah, there's probably something deeper going on there in his brain, if that makes sense to him.
Yeah.
Force. It's the toroidal geometry that defines.
Toroidal geometry. There we go.
It's magnetism. The other pattern going the other way, of course, is toroidal.
So toroidal geometry defines magnetism, but you can make magnetic fields that are not shaped like a torus.
Yeah, but like, show me one.
Okay, I can try to pull one up real quick.
They do have a tendency to form toroidal fields because there aren't any magnetic monopoles. So any self-contained current loop, you're going to be able to assign a dipole moment to it, or at least to chunks of it. But like if you have a figure 8 or something, like that's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah, well, if you just have like a very irregularly shaped magnet, then it's not going to be generating any kind of.
No, you're right, but the contribution from any individual atom, if the field is due to the sum of contributions from individual atoms, which is not always, and very often not true. Electromagnets, that's not how it works. But in that case, then the individual atoms are primarily going to be magnetic dipoles, and a dipole field is fundamentally, I think, a toroidal field, in to some extent, right?
I'm sharing my screen here. I don't know if you actually wanted me
Oh,
to
whoops.
show. Yeah, I mean, this
Oh,
is
that's so hot.
this is a magnetic field of a buckyball, like not very toroidal. So, like again, if you have an irregularly shaped magnet, it's not going to be generating a torus. Like it's.
I don't know what I'm looking at.
It looks like it goes around in like a donut shape.
I'm not seeing the donut. I mean,
It's
well, I don't know
right
what
there.
kind of donuts you're eating, but
It's a hexagon donut. But when I say so, I'm coming at this from the perspective of a coffee cup and a donut being the same thing.
okay, well then we can just move on.
Towards inertia and acceleration. So
Whoop, sorry.
you have this traffic that's actually fighting against each other. So all these lines, and the same thing in the dual slit experiment, and the same thing you see underneath the ferrocell, is the mutually assured destruction and constructive and destructive interference between the interweaving traffic, if you will, between the magnetic and the dielectric. It's either constructive interference or it's destructive interference. But these lines, and they're not lines at all, the only reason we see these lines is we see mutually assured destruction and mutually assured construction, and these negative spaces between the two where they're interweaving between each other because they are both one and the same thing. The field of water, for example, is flowing in one direction, and this would, of course, be the geometry of the field of water relative to the dielectric, the hyperboloid.
Oh.
And
It's not a beaker. It's an hourglass.
An hourglass. I would not have guessed that.
Nope. And I guess that's not like a mortar and pestle. That's like just
Pestle.
a cylinder or something.
It could be oh God, what do you call it? Wine chillers kind of look like that too.
Also, like like him saying mutually assured destruction, like that's just a buzzword. That doesn't mean anything here. Like he's trying to just describe constructive and destructive interference. Like why throw in mutually assured? Like mutually assured destruction is about like game theory and nuclear weapons. Like why is he using buzzwords like that?
Because they're buzzwords.
And
Yeah.
there's that.
I guess.
For $5, Jake Nelson says hexagons are the most efficient shape. The universe tends towards efficiency.
I think the point you're trying to make is that hexagons are bestagons.
I don't know. Triangles are the strongest geometric shape. I don't know how you get more efficient than a triangle, but
There, Lunar knows what's up.
okay. I guess I can't beat that mantra. I can't think of a good rhyme with triangles. So.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just a fact.
the field of ice, analogously, of course, which would be the field of magnetism, the centrifugal
Wow.
force and motion divergent field of the dielectric field and loss of its energy or inertia.
What? Fuck.
Did he say the loss of its integer inertia? It doesn't matter.
We talk about polarity. Once again, a magnet doesn't actually have poles. This is the
Most of them do.
I mean, I thought that was like one of their crowning features.
You
That's
could,
like the
if
whole-
you put a bunch of them in a circle, then you can have a thing that doesn't necessarily have like a clear pole. But the locally the field has polarity, like it because it's a vector. It's a thing that points in a direction, and those directions are the poles. It's not,
three-dimensional force vector, the simplex shower and drain analogy. Now, the shower and drain, of course, is the release of that water.
hold on. Is it how showers actually work?
Why does he
And
keep
of course-
putting simplex in front of everything?
Because it's a word that he probably learned recently.
Like everything has to have the adjective simplex in front of it.
And I don't think it's appropriate. Like, I don't think it's been appropriate at all.
I'm seeing that in geometry, a simplex is a generalization of the notion of a triangle or tetrahedron to arbitrary dimensions.
which is
So he's
not the way
saying-
he's described it.
He's saying that his shower head and drain analogy is a simplex analogy. That's what he just said, right? My simplex analogy with the shower head, like, I'm sorry, is your shower in arbitrary dimensions, Ken?
Of course, the dissipation of that water. Nobody ever thinks of these two things, and they really aren't in a perfect shower analogy. You know, you can't have an endless shower and no drain.
Why is
You
he
know,
committed
eventually
to this, like, to the shower analogy?
Because this is a well thought out video that is trying to describe magnetism in the genius way that only he has ever been able to figure out, in a way that anybody can understand it, Maya.
Bathtub's going to fill up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or your shower stall is going to overflow, and nobody wants that. So you got to put in a shower head. You got to put in a shower drain, and the shower drain doesn't serve any purpose relative to the shower head. So these two are working in conjunction. One is for forced dissipation of the water, and the other one is for draining the water. And this is what exists on either.
Yeah, one of them's to spray the water, and one of them's to drain. That was this a deep thought?
I never understood how showers worked until now.
You know why? It's because of all the magnets in them.
Either
Now I
side of
know
any
why
magnet,
you need
but
a drain. Oh, it makes sense.
a magnet doesn't have poles.
You know, normally when I hear this much like incoherent, like nonsense, that has to do with sinks and drains, that somebody's talking about transistors, which are genuinely black magic, especially field effect transistors. Just saying.
It has the inverse of counter space, this three-dimensional force and motion of inverse of counter space. And of course, the inverse of this hyperboloid, or this hourglass shape, which is the geometry of dielectricity.
The geometry of dielectricity is
I thought that
hyperboloidal shape.
I thought that he earlier said dielectricity was magnetism, which is toroidal, and now he's saying dielectricity is like an hourglass. Those are different shapes. What is happening? I'm like genuinely trying. Like, I am genuinely trying to just like go at this with a blank slate and just genuinely try to understand what Ken is saying. He said this was going to be very clear and concise. Even if you dropped out of elementary school, you can understand this. And I'm trying to understand, Ken. This is not making any sense at all. Like, even just ignoring everything about science, math, physics, reality, ignoring all that, just independent of all that, this makes no sense.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Is the torus. We look at this end of the hourglass. This would be the whole of the dielectric, which is an increasing inertia and acceleration towards counter space. In a perfect analogy, the energy would be actually terminating right here rather than the sand flowing from one side to the other and back and forth. Can't take that analogy, of course, too far. In the case of the pyramid, as I've talked about, you actually have the centrifugal flux, which is incredibly shallow. The amazing thing about
What?
Man, this is how I feel so often. It's so good to watch somebody else go through it at exactly the same points that I do.
We were on the same page for a second there about the pyramid, and now what the hell is centrifugal flux being shallow? What is this? Why can't we have deep centrifugal flux? Why can't we have shallow centripetal flux? What?
You're muted. Maya, you're muted.
You just think that you're on the same page because you're trying to make sense out of what he's saying. And the reality comes rushing in that you were never on the same page, and then you kind of lose your shit. We understand.
Yeah, this is how I thought. I thought this was how my relationship with Blessed Be He was. Like, I thought they, knew my name. I've seen no evidence of that. Very disappointing. Been in the audience for like over 6 months or something. No idea who the science guy is.
I mean, she could just read your name on screen there, but You're just random science, dude, who she
Yeah.
hates because
And his debunking. I
I want that video with the fiery passion. We are
for the
so doing
record,
it. We are
I
so
will.
doing that stream. Like
Oh,
when it hits, I'm
100%.
canceling the guest. And I'm like, I'm sure you'll understand. It's going to be me and you going through this video. It's going to be an
And I
awesome.
think I honestly, I think that an invitation to join even would. I feel like if we were ever going to make an exception to the not have the person that we're making fun of like actually be on the stream with us,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so
or maybe we
normally
should.
to like be a guest, like you have to have a channel and so we can vet you so we can know that you're not like a random Nazi. Um,
Not that non-random Nazis are okay. Like no Nazis, to be clear. Just
to be clear, right?
yeah.
But yeah, we don't want Nazis like holding it together long enough to make a few well-placed comments and then be like, "Hey, I want to come on the show." Like, sure, Nazi, you've given us like $100. Like I like the chat. Like, you really need to have a channel so that I can see that you're not a Nazi. Because like people generally show their views on the channel and they come through every once in a while, like sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but we've seen some, like Pine Creek Doug. Some people take longer than others, but I like I'm the more I see people doing apology streams, the more I'm thinking like, yeah, I definitely want people with channels so I can kind of vet them before they come on. And if you seem to be like decent science loving people, you're welcome to come on. Because you have to be like a science lover to debunk pseudoscience. I'm sorry, I'm not going to have like a flat earther debating like Jordan from Spirit Science. That makes no sense to me.
I will have to say, you have higher requirements for the guests on Bad Science Sunday than you do for your co-host.
I do. I do. But in fairness, we were, yeah, that.
We kind of stumbled into this.
Yeah, I was gonna say like this is not well thought out.
We just started doing this one week and just didn't stop.
Yeah. But so for people that don't have well-established channels, we will do a non-Sunday stream for them. However, if Blessed Be He wants an invite, she's welcome to crash the show anytime. We might go 3 or 4 hours. That's cool with me if it's cool with you. But
yeah, but
I don't think she'll ever do
We're
it.
not signing you up for 3 or 4 hours like right now. We're just saying
No.
she were, but
I don't think she'll. We kind of have a background bet going. I don't. He's like, yeah, just let her crash any stream. And I'm like, psh, doesn't mean shit to me. I don't think she'll ever do it. So yeah, there's a standing invite.
Grayson, are you a scientist? Blessed Be He wants to know.
Yeah, I saw Blessed Be He asking that, and also they asked if I had a channel before. Yeah, my channel is called Based Theory, like a well-based theory, and I'm not currently a scientist. I don't have a PhD, but in getting my undergraduate degree in biochemistry, I did work at a few different scientific labs, doing, my name's not on the published papers, but I worked on the experiments in structural biology and in neuroscience. So I'm like science adjacent. I would not really consider myself to be a scientist, but I definitely am a big science enthusiast.
Yeah, and he's probably a better science communicator than me.
But there's a lot of us in the community that have. I have a science degree. I have a master's in behavioral psychology. I am not a psychologist in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I could have the conversations with the best of them, or with the mediocre of them, or whatever. But there's a couple of different ways to get to Grayson if you'd like to. You can actually, okay. So first and foremost, his channel name is right under his face right here. So if you actually put in critical base theory into
Maya,
shut up.
He can't read the names. Remember?
Look, I don't remember talking to you, so you can come out because we're talking about Grayson right now. So critical base theory, right there. You can put it into the YouTube search bar, and his face will get what? I don't think your face. It's some books with a It says base theory, and it will slowly come up.
Yeah.
Stop typing. Anything that comes up under my name is not me. See, I'm hands free. I'm not doing the typing. So anything you see is from a Weasel, and fuck those guys. Also, another way you can get to Grayson is to go into the box and click next to Grayson. We'll say critical base theory. If you click on that, it's an actual link, which will again take you into Grayson's channel. You can also Pragmatic Crystal is one of the best mods ever, and I am speaking as Mod Maya, who had that title before Crystal entered the scene. And I'm passing the baton because I'm tired. I'm old. I'm tired. And Crystal's here now, so I don't need to be best mod ever anymore.
I see somebody in the chat asked if I was a magnet, and the answer to that is yes. Because technically,
it's total chick magnet. Yeah.
Technically, everything is a magnet. Everything has magnetic properties, even if it's not very strongly measurable, because every particle has magnetic moments in my body. Technically, I am a magnet.
A chick magnet.
And yes.
And there's that. All right. So now everybody knows how to get a hold of Grayson, and we're going to move on with the show.
These questions, I'm the only person on Earth that has answered that. It's like, why is it so shallow? You have incredibly powerful magnetic flux right here, and if you actually get it near your lips or your nose, you could feel it. Trust me. I've told people.
Trust me.
Trust me, I'm putting the lips with the discharge and the flux.
Yeah, he's putting the tip right up to his lips there.
Yeah.
People are like, oh yeah, I didn't believe you. I tried it. You're right. I ordered a pyramidal magnet. There's only a couple places you could buy these from. The reason why it's so shallow up here, just like the fireman's nozzle, is the pressure doesn't last very far past the tip. It's really shallow. It's only like less than 2 millimeters.
And we're back to the tip.
Yep. And how it doesn't last long, not more than 2 millimeters. Like,
I feel like he's literally about to start mouthing this thing, like in a few seconds.
Yeah, probably.
I get that
flux. The more you increase it here, the more you increase the drain pressure. That's why the magnetic flux isn't like, well, it's so powerful, it must extend out really, really far. Kind of like a fireman's nozzle. Because a fireman's nozzle is pyramidal shaped to get that water pressure up into a tall building to put out a fire. Yeah, but in this case, our fireman's nozzle...
It's conical. For the record, I've never seen a pyramid-shaped fire nozzle. I've only seen conical-shaped ones. A pyramid is a polyhedron. It has flat sides, okay? A cone has a curved surface. Oh.
But that ruins the alliteration, okay? Pyramid power, okay? You don't have cone power. That doesn't work.
Yeah, but you have cone heads, right?
Wait. And I mean, a cone would also probably increase the magnetic flux at the.
It totally would. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Ferrofluids do that spontaneously, right?
Yeah.
Which is magnetic flux here. The back end of the nozzle, like our shower analogy, which doesn't work that way, and our fire.
Then why are you using it, my guy? It's not an analogy if neither side of it works that way.
Also, like, did I hear him right that he said that you can actually like hold your face up to one of these magnetic pyramids and feel the magnetic force? It's like, how are you feel like we said MRIs earlier. That's a hell of a lot stronger than this 3-inch little magnet. I don't care about his little tip power, but like in an MRI, like I've been in an MRI when it's on, like you don't feel the magnetism. Like you don't feel a strong magnet. Like what is he like? He's literally having people put this up to their face and they're being like, whoa, I totally feel it, man. Like what?
If you have a strong enough magnetic field that you can feel, you're in a fairly unique situation as far as human experiences have gone. And probably I don't know what would happen. It's probably not ideal. Yeah. It's kind of like drinking 8 gallons of heavy water If you drink 1 gallon, you're probably fine. If you drink 8 of them, like you're subtly screwing up a whole bunch of physiological details.
Fireman's hose
Oh
analogy.
wait.
Sorry.
For $5 for in love bond, it says my toroidal field shower analogy brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, its counter space transitional components are better than yours.
Damn right, it's better than ours.
Teach
Well,
you, but I'd
look,
have to charge.
yeah, he could teach you, but like he's totally going to teach you and it's going to be really clear and anybody's going to be understand it, okay? Trust him, guys. He's going to teach you well, okay?
Trust him. He's a fake doctor.
It's all going to make sense at the end of this video, and he's not even going to charge, okay?
Except for his leather works.
Yeah, well, yes. He will charge for the leather works, but that is some premier crap.
And that's just a business, you know. That's just a side hustle. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. If they're good, like, I'd consider buying. That would be amazing if I was able to incorporate like a fine piece of Ken Wheeler leatherwork into my wardrobe for the show.
Watch it like all be BDSM stuff.
I wonder if I could get like a leather bow tie.
I'm positive you can. I'm positive you can.
Can I get it?
I don't know where, but I'm positive those are available.
I'm gonna send him an email.
Fireman's hose nozzle analogy doesn't work that way. There's actually increasing force pressure dissipation where the water is has a negative pressure, a vacuum pressure at the back end of the magnet, and of course each side is exactly identical.
Now the water has negative pressure? Like, what? How can water have vacuum pressure? It's not a vacuum.
Very carefully. So you can have materials, exotic types of materials.
Water?
No, not water. Well, water's exotic in other ways, but no. Which, you know, means that I'm probably just doing that thing where I get nerd sniped by a random stupid thing that I interpret in the not stupid way. Because I'm nice.
No, and okay, wait. I want to clarify. I'm not kink shaming, okay, Mark. I'm not kink shaming anybody. I did not have any negative connotations. Okay, if Ken wants to make all his BDSM products available online, okay, I'm not gonna shame him for that. And Tsunami is falsely claiming in the chat that I'm vanilla. Tsunami, you don't know, okay? I'm just putting it out there. And also, Tsunami, you are wrong. Just saying. But I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to get into specifics.
I need somebody to, like, expose me to the wider world of...
I don't know. I know from the last stream, Grayson says he does not hate titties. And that's all I can... He was very emphatic about that. So we're going to go with that. But for $5...
Put things on me. Like, my last stream, you were trying to say that I hate titties. Now people are saying that I hate BDSM and that I'm vanilla. Like, these are lies.
You seem very upset anytime I brought up titties. And so I just assumed, which, you know, I made an ass out of me, that you didn't like them because of, you know, the weird look on your face every time you heard titties. But we are a pro-titty nation here.
It's really easy for men to accidentally fall into the objectifying train. So, you know, just be careful. I don't know if that was
people with titties in the chat. Just saying.
Yeah,
also $5. Jake Nelson, who I do not believe has titties. Scientist talking with science communicators. Talking with science enthusiasts. That's what we come here for. Woo! You can find that here.
Yeah.
This is the one.
You can also find Ken Wheeler here. You're welcome.
Example where pyramid power is actually real. Let me make a quote from Charles Proteus Steinmetz. In electrical circuits containing...
Who?
Steinmetz. Maybe, okay. Oh. Maybe I know Steinmetz just because like my dad is born in Schenectady and Steinmetz is known as like the Wizard of Schenectady. So like I grew up hearing a lot of stories about Steinmetz as this like incredible like genius electrical engineer that like lived in Schenectady and did all kinds of like cool and wacky like experiments and science demonstrations and
Now
like
I feel bad.
and his house was like you know a staple of the town and yeah, I mean like he basically um like Tesla had a lot to do with like pioneering alternating current, but Steinmetz like it is basically the one that figured out how to implement it. And like I mean he has like hundreds of patents
So he
and
was like the Edison of AC.
well like he worked with Edison, but he was like whenever like he was the real genius behind the curtain basically um like there
Edison had a lot of them, and also Edison wasn't a dummy. Like,
yeah like
he
Edison got mad at Steinmetz once because
he was
like
an
he
egotistical
charged
asshole.
like I don't know like $1,000 or something for this fix when all he did was go over to the machine that was malfunctioning and like look and listen to it, and then he like made a little X like right on a certain spot and said drill here, and then like
It
they drilled right there. He cut 3 wires and charged like $1,000. Edison got mad at him. He's like, "Look, $1 of that was the labor, and then $999
yes,
was the
it,
genius to know where to drill."
it's actually like hearing that story. I almost have a hard time believing that Edison like actually would have had a difficult time, because he would totally do the same thing in a different position, and that's what you're paying for. You're not paying for the labor. You're paying for the person who knows exactly what to
Yeah.
do.
And that was
And
Steinmetz. So I hate that this guy is using like you know the scientific
yeah,
marvel of my dad's hometown as like he's trying to use him to support his crank ideology here. And like Steinmetz like has quotes talking about how the ether is not real. Like I mean,
yeah,
come on.
yeah. Yeah, I think he does believe in some version of the ether. You did a deep dive today on Ken.
Yeah.
Did you come across that?
He's mentioned the ether in this video already.
Yeah, but he mentions a lot of things that that he then like contradicts himself.
He believes in the ether. Yeah, that's the whole
Yeah.
basis of his entire like ideology is like this belief in the ether despite all of the evidence to the contrary. Like if he were to disbelieve the ether, he would have to basically throw away his entire thought process here. I'm pretty sure that he thinks that the ether is like it has something to do with counter space. I don't know what, because again, counter space is a made up word that isn't a real thing, but like I think that they're
They have
related
a
in
kitchen.
some way.
It's totally real. Oh, okay, you're right. It's not real. It isn't Maya's place though. Apparently.
Yeah.
Energy stored in
Yeah,
the
I have no
magnetic
idea what's
and the
going on. I know that Ken opened his mouth and I went to the chat because I don't even pretend to understand what he's talking about.
I mean, all we have is the ability to, I guess, pretend, because we don't understand either. Because he's a genius.
Oh,
dielectric
yeah.
field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned that from BBH in the chat. He's a big fan of Ken's.
I saw that. I
Yeah.
don't get it, but
Is BBH still around?
yeah. Shh.
Okay.
But you're both one thing, not two. Just as ice and water are not two different things. Well, we have a separate word for ice and a separate word for water. But anybody with 5 brain cells know that ice and water is the same thing. Getting back.
Yeah, they're not though. One of them's solid and one of them's water.
Yeah, they're not the same thing.
Water is a more general term than ice. Like you don't refer to water as liquid ice. But yeah.
Yeah, and also like, you know, there are lots of like the Inuit have like over 100 words for like different types of snow. Like, yeah, they're all snow. We can come up with different words for like different types of things. I think that basically like Ken has described himself as like a Platonist, which is like his guiding philosophy. Like I don't think that I don't know if he's an atheist or not, but like he thinks like metaphysically like everything in the world is like one thing. It's all one. You know,
Is that monoism or something like that?
yeah, like yeah, it's like this form of Neoplatonism that Ken subscribes to, and like everything ultimately, I think all his beliefs about magnetism flows out of his like metaphysical commitments that he refuses to shake. Like this is what he derives meaning from or purpose or whatever. And then all this other stuff, the counter space and the dielectricity and all that is downstream of that.
Yeah.
Back to a quote from C.P. Steinmetz. In electrical circuits containing energy stored in the magnetic and the dielectric, the change in the amount of stored energy occurs by a series of changes from the magnetic to the dielectric and back again from the dielectric to the magnetic and stored energy. He doesn't explain why.
Given everything that you just explained about Steinmetz, there's a big part of me that wants to go back to the actual thing to see, one, if he actually read it and quoted it correctly, and two, to then try and read what he's trying to say. Because I didn't really follow that.
Yeah, he read it pretty quick.
He read it pretty quick, and also it seems like it might have been like the middle sentence of an abstract.
Yeah.
If we're being generous.
Also, I just want to point out that Steinmetz like has the coolest middle name ever, like Proteus. That is so baller.
I know a person that has, although this is potentially problematic depending on certain backgrounds. I know somebody with the middle name Temujin.
Okay, pretty cool. Genghis Khan.
Yeah. Genghis Khan's given name.
And that's coming from I think that I have a pretty dang cool nickname or middle name. Like my middle name is literally Hawk, like the bird, like the falcon.
Interesting.
My middle name is Jemison. So my name is Jemison Van de Graaff, which if you Google it, you'll find the Jemison Van de Graaff mansion because privilege.
And also, it sounds like a slave owner. I'm just
because they were.
My middle name is only Hawk because my dad is like obsessed with hawks. He literally we had a hawk all when I was growing up. Like he's really into falconry. So like
that's pretty badass.
A bunch of hawk pictures all over the house. He's like super into him. He says like he literally wanted to name me Greyhawk like as my first name, and my mom said hell no, and so they compromised, and it's Grayson Hawk. And he still calls me Grayson.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's love. That is true love.
That's pretty cool.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm very glad that my first name is not Greyhawk, but that my middle name is Hawk. I think I got the best of both worlds on that one.
Yeah. I do not have a cool story for that, but okay.
Do you have a cool middle name? Are you going to share it? You don't have to share it.
Yeah, I'm not sharing it, but I mean, how do I follow any of this? So it wasn't a slave owner or a hawk. Actually, it was like I said, it was adopted. So my middle name is my original first name.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, no.
Neither Steinmetz nor Tesla nor any of these.
People are giving us money. God damn it.
It's really hard to see. It's a busy screen.
Capitalism. Look, capitalism always wins. Jake Nelson for $5. Or Jake is probably up to 50 by now. Who knows? Even is not. Wait, God. See, the wine's kicking in now. Jake, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to get through this. Even is not one same thing. This is why string theory failed. Why did string theory fail in 7 minutes left?
It was unable to make.
It was unfalsifiable or something like that, right?
Yeah,
string theory did not fail in my heart. Then.
I frankly, I'm going to agree with him. String theory produced a lot of stuff. It was not a waste of time. It may have been overhyped. It was probably overhyped. But let me tell you, the one time I sat down and really tried to learn a little bit about string theory, I was still an undergrad, and even then, it really is beautiful, and that may not sound important, but I think it is, and most physicists do think it is at some weird level.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I heard about it because I was like, man, that looked like it had a lot of potential, but
it had a huge amount of potential.
I don't math, so I
they
just have to listen to what people who do math say.
it seemed very likely for a long time that it would probably produce concrete experimental, like, pathways and whatnot. uh it it didn't really, but we haven't solved the problem that it was trying to solve. Well, the original problem it was trying to solve, actually. Then it got co-opted by it. It doesn't matter. We don't. It can't all be done. It can't be done in 7 minutes or 6 minutes. If you want to understand why people are like sort of anti-string theory nowadays, um, it, Angie Collier has a great video about it. She generally has a great channel. I have a lot of like nitpicks with it, but she actually has a video where she explains in great detail the nature of how people like me are going to have nitpicks with people like her. Great channel though.
Yeah, I love your channel too. And I don't think that string theory has failed yet. Like, I still think it's too early. Like,
it hasn't succeeded
eventually,
though.
one day we'll have some kind of theory of quantum gravity, and when we have that theory, then you can tell me string theory failed if it's totally nothing to do with string theory. But if you use the math of string theory in this future quantum gravity theory, not a failure.
And string theory has produced so much fascinating mathematical physics, not like pure mathematics as well, but like prompted by mathematical physics. That and string theory, like mathematical ideas and concepts, have been co-opted and used in other things. Like Ed Witten has published things that are tangible and like approachable, in addition to the miles of paper that he's published on other. Ed Witten is like a crazy person.
Yeah, he got a field medal out of it. Like, the mathematicians are recognizing
the only physicist who's gotten a Fields medal that I know of.
Like, the mathematicians can recognize that like some genuinely good stuff has come out of string theory.
Craziest thing about Ed Witten, he was a journalism major in college. Because after he finished learning calculus in sophomore year of high school, he thought that math was kind of done and physics was kind of like done and like whatever. And which is astonishing, because if you finish calculus in sophomore year of high school, one, that's very difficult to do. And two, how does none of the people along the way instill in you a love of mathematics? Weird guy.
Oh, yeah, hey. Friend of the show, Doc Dino. Hey, nerds. How you rocking tonight? Don't we have some shilling to do for Doc Dino?
We absolutely have shilling to do for Doc Dino. Doc Dino is a fantastic person, a fantastic individual who I would totally love to accompany on a wonderful expedition to like Wyoming to like go and find where fossils are. But I do not have that pleasure. Some people have that pleasure, but I don't have that pleasure.
Who could those people be?
Grayson, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, okay, so check out Dr. Dino's channel, because he's trying to raise support and raise funds for a fossil hunting expedition to Wyoming this summer to finish and find the rest of a specimen that he has been working on. He has a mysterious bone that he has been working on that they don't have the rest of the specimen.
Lentil.
And he wants, named Lentil. Adorable name for a dinosaur. And Doc wants to go back and find the rest of Lentil and unite it with the one little bone that we've got. And he said that I can go with him if he gets enough funds to go on this expedition. I get to go on a fossil hunting expedition if and only if you guys can help make it happen. So, I mean, it's literally been a lifelong dream of mine to go on a fossil hunting expedition. You have no idea how cool this would be. And yeah, we would film it, and this is mainly Doc's show. This is just me getting able to tag along and just like be, amazed and have a super fun time and look for
There's
cool
the GoFundMe. Do the GoFundMe.
Yes. Doc is the real mastermind behind this. He's the one who's trying to build, his resume, his bona fides as a paleontologist, as a fossil hunter and preparer. If you love science, if you love paleontology, if you love adventure and expeditions, please consider supporting him because, we want to see Lentil completed. We want to see actual cool paleontological field work being accomplished.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to also just tag along for the journey because it sounds super fun. And we will make videos so you guys can vicariously see and tag along as well. Please consider donating to Doc's GoFundMe. I think that he said that he doesn't need, his circumstances have changed since he originally made the GoFundMe. He originally put a $3,000 goal, but I think that's down to $1,800. It's a lot more accomplishable right now. It's looking like it might actually happen. So please, guys, help make it happen.
Yeah, and if I recall correctly, the deadline I think is the end of May. So we're probably going to be showing this a couple more times at some point.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to get Dr. Dino in here. I want to make
Yeah,
sure that we're being fair to all people. Just because half the people in the chat have their own channels, and I want to try to make sure that I'm being fair to all. So generally, the thing here is you can only show something that you're working on. Grayson is actually working on it with us. So I was really excited that Dr. Dino came in. It gave us a reason to show it out because I really do. I think this is a great cause, very worthy. It's not one of those weird things where people are going to take your money and run off with it. So if you have a couple of dollars to spare and you're looking for something worthwhile, I wholeheartedly support it.
Also, guys, contribute to my GoFundMe. If we get up to $500, I will prove string theory.
All right, maybe 5 more minutes of this, and then we'll.
Yep. There we go.
These people, up until me, and I don't care if you think I'm boasting or not, has actually ever explained why magnetism is, how magnetism is, but they've made some correct observations. This is another one from C.P. Steinmetz. Many textbooks speak of the electrical charges on the conductor and energy stored by them without the consideration that the dielectric energy is not on the surface of the conductor, but in the space outside of the conductor. He meant to say, actually, the space around the conductor.
He meant to say? Really?
He meant to say the space around the conductor instead of the space outside the conductor. It's the same thing.
And who is this guy to tell Steinmetz what he meant to say? Come on. You're going to quote mine him and then say, well, he didn't actually mean what he wrote.
Yeah.
Because space is not a placeholder for any field. It's never the terminator for any field either. Terminator for any field is counter space, never space.
Well,
no energy
ever
terminates or grounds in space. Space is the...
I feel like the thing that would terminate a magnetic field technically would be a magnetic monopole, which we don't have. So they all are endless, sort of. Or go back onto an intrinsic inherent dipole. But that's another way of saying endless. Sorry.
The opposite of a ground. Yeah? When we say ground, it's just a fancy word for counter space, by the way.
No, it's a fancy word for an endless reservoir where you can sink a bunch of charge and it will always stay neutral.
How this whole time when he's been saying counter space, all he's talking about is electrical grounding? What?
Maybe.
What?
Well, this time when he said counter space, that's what he was talking about. The other times, God knows.
It's right when you think that maybe you understand, you've decoded what Ken is talking about, he throws a total curveball at you like this. I thought maybe I understood what he was talking about with counter space. And
why would you think that?
Because it's the negative energy of the inertial plane, Tappy. But no, now it's just a sound. Now it's just ground. It's literally just like a sink for charges. What? Wait, maybe that's where the sink fits in with the shower head and the drain. It's the counter space, and that's you put your sink on the counter space. Oh, I get it now. Okay.
Oh, we put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Ken
No reason.
promised.
No,
Ken
you know what?
promised.
No, that
I
was
feel like that's the
perfect.
ending point.
That was
Yeah,
perfect.
I feel like we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
There's not another whole half of that video to go. Grayson has put the final piece.
Hey, Ken promised that in that video he was going to explain it simply for an elementary school dropout so that anybody could understand what he's talking about. And I unfortunately graduated from elementary school, but somehow I was still able to understand him. I get it all. I get it now. It's the counter space. It's where you put your sink. Duh.
Duh. See, we were just thinking too hard.
My cape came off. Where did my cape go?
Oh no.
There it is. I found it. I was wondering why my neck felt so much more comfortable. Hold on.
Special thanks to J&M for their donations. Gracias.
J&M. Woohoo! Thank you for helping make the dream happen.
All right.
If I flutter the cape, do you think that Blessed Be He will come back like a bull?
Why do you hate the whole rest of the chat?
Because they hate me. I did a magnet stream, Maya. I
Okay. But did you?
No, because I don't do anything. I'm a fake scientist.
Oh, right. You're lying about your entire lineage, and
you totally can't look me up and find out where I work.
Well, we have now answered the age-old question posed by the great philosophers Insane Clown Posse. Fucking magnets. How do they work?
We answered it with we don't know.
Now everyone knows.
I forgot.
Ken Wheeler just explained it very simply. And we are all smarter
for having heard it. I award him full points. And may God have mercy on our souls. High five, Maya.
Grayson, who are you? Where are you? And what do you have coming up this week? Why the fuck didn't you stream last week? I had a whole Thursday. I was just looking, and I'm like, "Where's Grayson? Where's Grayson? Oh, he's in this chat that's not his own, and he's not streaming. The fuck!"
I put out a community post, Maya. I said, okay, so I was going to stream, and then I saw that my local university was doing a lecture that was provocatively entitled, "Was Jesus a false prophet?" And I was like, dang. I gotta go there, and it ended up being like a bunch of William Lane Craig.
Of course it did. Did you expect something else?
I don't know. I thought it was going to be interesting, but no, it was like a bunch of Christian apologists, like that were like trying to like do.
No, like when you said that, I knew it was going to be exactly that. Like if you had said it was like, wow, they had credible evidence for the physical Jesus, I would have been shocked.
They also could have been saying. They also could have been agreed with the skeptic point of view, which is like, no.
That's kind of what I thought. I don't know. I didn't know enough about the event. But I showed up, and
you live in Texas, right?
Yes.
I mean, was there any skeptic viewpoint that wasn't going to get the college burned down?
Yeah, it's like a college. I mean, most of the people. I don't think. I mean,
that's true. Like,
yeah, at colleges, I mean, like they're pretty. Anyways, my name is Greyhawk or Grayson, and my channel is Based Theory. So there's been a bunch of links to it. You can check it out if you like. And I'm sure if you're watching this, you do like debunking pseudoscience. And I engage with the pseudoscientists in live debates because I like arguing with these people. I think it's pretty fun. And I'm a big enthusiast about science and history. And sometimes I make videos about it that I think are interesting. So if you like any of that stuff, science, history, dunking on pseudoscience, check out my channel Based Theory. And somebody just donated $125 to go for me. Heck yeah, guys. That is so awesome to hear. We are trying to raise some funds for a fossil hunting expedition to potentially make some new discoveries, but just to find some freaking fossils in Wyoming. Have fun doing it. It's been a lifelong dream of mine, and Doc Dino has been kind and courteous enough to let me tag along if this ends up happening. So I'm being selfish. I want to go on a fossil hunting expedition, but also Doc Dino is an amazing individual, really, really kind person, and he could use some field experience to help build his career as a future paleontologist and hunter of awesome fossils. And like, we just want to find the rest of this fossil just for curiosity's sake, for push science forward, make these discoveries. How cool would it be for us to find a new species? Not very likely.
I
but
think that would be so cool, and we can all say we knew Doc Dino when.
Right?
This
Exactly.
is gonna happen.
yes, exactly. And I mean, maybe we could name it Tapioca Weaselosaurus.
Oh,
Or Crapioca Weasel.
I mean, honestly, even.
I mean, yeah, I mean, who
better. I didn't actually. It's too small in the other window to see the avatar, but
It's a fine piece of ass right there, I'm telling you.
I think I might have to consider just appearing like this on the show.
Grayson, now you were talking with a oh god, a race realist or something, right? How's that going?
Well, so I just recently did a stream on the Reasons to Doubt channel with population geneticist Zach Hancock. He's got a YouTube channel too, and we were talking about race realism. And I was saying that I would do a debate on race realism, but somehow like nobody's ever challenged me on it. But I've done debates on like climate change denialism, pretty much any area of like pseudo history, pseudo archaeology, or pseudoscience. Like I'm interested in debating it. So I'm open to a bunch of different topics on that front.
And you're just not looking hard enough.
For the record,
I'm pretty sure a race realist crashed Joe's stream and started like spamming porn. So,
whoa, okay.
I didn't see it. I heard about it. It sounded horrible.
Yeah, yikes, big yikes. For the record, I just want to say race realism is absolutely pseudoscience, has no basis in biology, genetics, or anything like that. So if you're offended by that and triggered, come talk about it on my channel. It could be fun. You might even learn something. Maybe.
I really don't understand that. I guess because it's like too close to home for me. I personally can't. I don't mind. I understand my chat hates Blessed Be He. I think she's funny as shit.
I do too. I love it so much.
Not necessarily the proselytizing, that's a little annoying, but like the rest of it, I find highly entertaining. And
yes,
I understand I'm in a minority there, but
that's exactly how I am, Maya. So you're in good company there. Like the people that express these crazy pseudoscientific ideas.
Yeah.
I find them to be like really fascinating and hilarious.
Fascinating.
Like, I think I can't remember who you were, where you were. Sorry, but you were talking to somebody and you were saying that people were like, Grayson, how do you do this? And you said you just really like dissecting people and seeing like how they tick. Like, why do you believe this? Like, how did you get here? And I'm like, yes, that is me. That is like where I am. Like, I need to know. And I think it's the psych major in me where it's just like, why are we here? How does this happen? Walk me through this. Where are you really?
Yeah.
Like, that's really where I want to be. Just like, I want to know all the things there are to know about why people got to where they are. And I find it fascinating. However, a lot of people like writing people off as trolls. And I know you and I were talking about this earlier. People. And I'm like, they're just because they think crazy things that you're just like, why? Like, no rational person could think this.
Yeah. Like most sane people are probably exacerbated by like random weirdo cranks and their opinions, but for whatever reason, I find it super interesting. Like the
Yeah.
amount of like conversations I've had with absolute weirdos and loons, like in my real life, like in public, like not as part of like a debate theater or channel or whatever, not for views, like just like random people in public that are like just exceedingly weird saying weird things. I'll have like a 45-minute conversation because I'm just like, now how do you think that connects with the Apollo
That
program? Or like I'm like, how do you get from A to B? Walk me through.
Right.
I'm like, how do your thoughts actually work? Like, how is this like? How can you actually be of this opinion and worldview? How can you live your life like that? I'm just like fascinated by this.
No, but well, I mean, in studying people with conspiracy theorists anyway,
Yeah.
it's just like the best indicator of someone believing in a conspiracy theory is that they already believe in a conspiracy
yeah,
theory.
yeah,
And
100%.
oddly, religion kind of fits into that.
Well, it does prime you to believe in some
Yeah.
supernatural stuff that you don't experience directly, or so.
Almost all conspiracy theorists believe in a religion, which I find fascinating.
I think I've
Um,
come across a few
I
that
yeah,
like
it's
I
literally.
didn't say 100%. I said
I
almost
yeah.
all.
I'm going to bring this
A
full
little
circle here. I did debate a race realism a race realist once, but the subject we were debating was the moon landing, not race realism. And then later on, he told me that actually a lot of us in the race realist community are divided right now in two main camps. The one camp says that heaven is for whites only, and then the other camp says that Christianity is a Jewish conspiracy. I'm like, oh my god! Like
Those are the two camps.
those are the two camps. Which one are you back? Which one do you side with? It's like, oh my god. So yes,
I don't
uh,
even understand how this happens. I mean, I understand in the slavery days, you could say, okay, animals don't get to heaven. Black people are animals. And again, back when there was slavery, I can understand making that leap a little easier. But today, I don't understand it. Like, how do you justify God making all people, but only the minority of white ones
yeah.
get into it?
I mean, I just think it's crazy
That's
that you
crazy to
can
me.
be so racist and so conspiratorial that you actually think that Christianity is just a Jewish conspiracy. You go all the way with it. You're no longer even religious. You say religion is a Jewish conspiracy just because your your values of racism and conspiracy thinking overwhelm any other values you have in your life.
I actually, when I was in the New Age community, I heard that one.
Okay, there's like a really weird overlap between like super far right Nazi beliefs
Hmm.
and like new age hippie beliefs.
But
Like the overlap.
also paganism.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Well,
No,
okay, with like the paganism,
it's even
like
more direct there. That like because
Well, yeah, they don't want to worship a Jew, so
yeah.
they're just willing to like, what else was out there? I'll grab the first thing I see. It's crazy. It's nuts. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Really, there are some whacked people out there, and you guys every week expose yourselves to them on Sunday for this show,
You
and
have
I
no
thank you
idea
for
what
your
I have to wade through to get to the
yeah.
crazy ass shit that is playable on our channel. And then even the playable shit on our channel, like we had Hans Wormhat dropped the F slur once, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't see I skipped over that part when I was, looking through stuff, but then I had to remind everybody, and I'm like, conspiracy theorists are very largely Christian. They're all bigots. Every last one of them are bigots. Um, we show like just this laughable, lighthearted shit that they do, but I mean, there's a lot of them just doing prayer vigils on their streams, praising Trump. I mean, just a lot of crazy ass shit.
Oh,
And
I definitely am guilty. It's like a guilty
Of praising
pleasure
Trump?
of watching the most crazy Trump fans I can find. Like the actual ones that are like, Trump is the Messiah that's
Mhm.
prophesied that's going to come and save our
The
country.
people who make the movies.
Yeah, well, I've
Very
gone on a deep dive in Rumble and I've seen a lot of that stuff, and I just think it's the funniest thing. Like they're literally like, George Washington made a new pact with God at the founding of America, like Abraham made at the founding of Israel, and then Trump is the he's our King David, he's the culmination of biblical prophecy as the Messiah, and it's just insane that anybody can look at that guy and come up with that opinion.
So a couple of evangelical pastors prophesied that he was the Messiah, and therefore he is, because nobody reads their actual book.
Yeah.
And I mean, that
Reading is
really
hard.
is what it boils down to.
Reading is hard.
I mean, it takes away from your cat videos, and who wants that? When you can just listen to a guy talk.
There's a woman who actually has like hundreds of thousands of views that she gets on Rumble, where like every week she's like, okay, I'm about to speak directly for God. And then she like says something that she's actually like coming up with a prophecy, and she makes it sound like it's like written in the Bible, like, but she's like doing a current prophecy, and it's like it's actually like sometimes I'll listen to it, and it's like stand-up comedy to me, honestly. She's just like, and this week, my flock, you must pay close attention to either Indonesia or Pakistan or Colombia or Peru, because something's going to happen in one of those four countries. And it's like, it's so
Wow.
funny. And it's like, and this is directly from God. He told me to say this in this exact wording as I'm about to say it right now, okay? Democrats are evil, and they're going to it's so insane.
It's
It's
cat
so
Kerr.
funny.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah, and she's like,
Mark
and
Reed
you
is
need to
the
listen to God.
Antichrist.
She's like, yeah, you guys need to listen to what God says. Okay, I'm about to speak for God now, and then she'll go into it, and it's like, and these are getting hundreds of thousands of views on Rumble.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, no, and yeah, and this is, I mean, I kid you not. I remember when before Elon took over not Twitch,
X.
Twitter. God, I'm not. Shut up. Anyways,
It's still twitter.com. When I go there, my URL still says Twitter.
Twitter.com. Yeah.
Like,
but no, when Trump lost, I was on Twitter, and I remember looking at people who were like, "No, you guys are wrong. It's been prophesied." And people were like, "Where in the Bible does it say that Trump is going to be the Messiah?" And they're like, "Well, you got to go to YouTube and look up, this guy's video." And people were literally laughing at them, like, "YouTube's your God?" But I mean, that was literally the rationale. Was
it is. By God.
it was prophesied that Trump would be Trump would win twice, that he would be God King, or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of claims.
It's also
and also I was showcasing, somebody was talking about Telltale. He shows a lot of what I've been watching a lot of Telltale since Biden won, because he shows what the preachers were saying at the time that so it's like putting two and two together, because I'm not going through all of Steven Anderson or who's that demonic fucker that didn't want to ride on planes.
Kenneth Copeland.
Yeah, Copeland. Like, I'm not doing Greg Locke. I'm not going. He literally just sits there and watches all their public sermons. And I'm like, you know what? You find the best shit and just stream it, and I will watch that, because I'm not watching start to finish every sermon they've ever made, trying to wait for the craziest of the crazy stuff. Yeah. You just let me know, like, why people are saying this stuff. And he does. He's really good about it. Like, whatever. Like, I see I'll see some crazy stuff on Twitter. And then, like, the very next stream, or, within a week and a half, Telltale would be like, yeah, Greg Locke said. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay. It is clicking.
My favorite is the people that are still on the QAnon train at this point,
Oh,
this late in
right.
the game, and like they literally reference it like they're citing the Bible.
Yeah.
Like they'll be
Yeah.
like, and notice, like Trump posted this at 157. Now, if we look at Q post number 157, and then they like cite it like it's the Bible, and then they
Yep.
go through it, and they're doing like a numerological analysis of this text, and like
It
seeing
could
like
be.
these are sacred patterns right here. And if you see every third word begins with a consonant, and if you string those consonants together, what do you get?
Q, we could literally be watching the birth of a new religion with the Q thing.
Yes. It literally is. I mean, they are literally like citing this stuff like it's holy scripture.
Yeah. Yeah. $5 Jake Nelson says, if we keep looking, we might find Luca like we found Tiktaalik.
I don't think so. I think Luca, the odds of the last universal common ancestor being fossilized are basically zero.
Yeah, like we did find a lot of single cellular fossils from the quote unquote boring billion period. But like again, this is after Luca, but like I think they're the Volin biota, and they were discovered like or described just last year, and they were like a ton of like single cellular organisms in all these crazy shapes and forms, like super biodiverse. And yes, Tsunami Julie Green is exactly who I was describing with the woman that was doing the live time.
Okay, gotcha.
But yes, the Volin biota show us that you can have exceedingly rare conditions that do fossilize these single-celled creatures, and like there were like hundreds of different types. It was awesome, and this was like way before multicellularity evolved, and so we got a lot of really good information. But the odds of finding Luca specifically, like the last universal common ancestor, which is even before that. Yeah, you might as well just keep buying lottery tickets if
I don't think it's that hard to find, though. I don't think it's what Lunar just said. I don't think it's north of the North Pole. Well, it might be.
It's not impossible.
It doesn't exist anymore, but we don't know that.
Like the Volin biota, I think it was like formed in like the underground portion of a geyser. So like it had to be an extremely specific geological context in order to fossilize these single cellular organisms, like a very specific geochemistry.
Thank you, pragmatic.
Yeah, and so the odds of like just some random microorganism in the ocean fossilizing this way are essentially nil. So don't want to get your hopes up, but we're probably not going to find Luca.
God, man, the internals of a geyser. If you have a geyser that like turns off, like there are very few places that would be better suited for fossilization of very, very delicate organisms.
Yeah, exactly. It's like extremely anoxic, not much oxygen. There's nothing to break down any of the organic material.
And it'll like calcify or mineralize very rapidly.
Yeah, look at the Volin biota. It's pretty amazing to see the images.
Yeah, I'm looking at one now. It's amazing. But
all right, so yeah, we're coming up in 2.5 hours. I think Grayson already did what his has coming up, both this week and potentially with Dr. Dino. I don't see anybody streaming right now.
Oh, Ken Wheeler is not still streaming? You can't send everybody over there?
Oh, God.
Wouldn't... Yeah, I wouldn't if I wanted to. Wouldn't if I could, I guess. Usually I just put a thing out. Usually Oz is going or Nitty, one or the other. Sometimes Stephanie. Nobody. I
Is
don't know.
Amy?
Right now, I do like Riverboat Jack, but I would do her if I had actual like 1,000 subs and I could just transfer. I don't think she knows who I am.
Is it too early for Amy?
Amy streamed last night. I don't think she really streams on Sundays anymore, not since she got her teaching job. But
Responsibilities suck.
yeah.
Back.
But I do appreciate everybody for coming this week. Grayson, thank you for coming this week. We always appreciate you. Well, Doc especially appreciates you coming on because you guys can talk about stuff that I'm just like, I don't even know what that is. And
thanks for letting me
wow,
be.
lots of money this stream.
Thanks for letting me be the lucky Pierre in this video, or whatever the term was. I kind of forgot it.
I think
it was Lucky Pierre. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Jake Nelson again. Sometimes I think just to force a conversation. Jokes on you. Say things. Oh, okay. That makes so much more sense. Jokes on you.
It's really hard when the typo is still a word.
Right.
It makes it so much more difficult to figure out. Like if D and S were not next to each other on the keyboard, no chance I would have figured it out. Sorry.
No, yeah. I have wine brain, so I don't even know that I would have figured it out.
I have clown brain.
Which apparently is better than wine brain. So.
Well, it's a random number generator, so you get lucky sometimes.
There you go. All right. So I do want to say thank you to everybody. Love you guys, and we'll see you next Sunday. Bye.